Welcome back to Agata, round 4 of the FIM Motocross World Championship. The MXGP of Portugal. The MX2 riders on their sighting lap ahead of MX2 Race 2. My name's Paul Malin, alongside me, Jason Thomas from Fly Racing. First race was an absolute corker. We will see the highlights of that in a few moments' time, but before we do, that's what the track looks like. It's a little bit tacky, a little bit rutty, more so than yesterday. They've fluffed up, watered a bit more ahead of the afternoon program here. The racetrack just over 1,600 meters long. It has that hard clay base beneath it as well, so it's going to be a little bit slick in the early stages of the race, just like it was in race 1. But what can we expect from race 2? The first one, as I said, an absolute corker, and one or two little bits of drama, if I dare say, just in and around the racetrack. Championship leader Jago Geerts involved in it. Let's take a look at that first race highlight right now. A little earlier on then, MX2 race 1 over on the right-hand side, but from a gate 5, Mikkel Hart with his first foxhole shot of the season, his first in MX2 as well. But Guadagnini passed him and then threw himself down the track as early as turn 2. He took Gifting with him as well. Then we got through the first few corners. Hart led the way, Adamo was second. Third was Geerts, but not for long, because midway through the lap, Vial carved his way into third, and then Kevin Horgmo fell from 4th position. Working his way through the pack, number 74, Kai de Wolf, was up into 7th and then 6th position as Vial moved from 3rd to 2nd with that pass on Adamo. Then Jago Geerts bent himself in 2, fell from 4th, picked himself up in 22nd place, had a hard race to get back to 9th. Change for the lead happened here, Vial passing Hart on lap 4. And then Horgmo was challenging again and then tipped over behind Langenfelder. He eventually came home in 8th place. De Wolf and Rubini went at it. De Wolf eventually came home in 3rd place. Isaac Gifting under pressure from Jago Geerts as Guadagnini fell, and then he managed to sneak around the outside of the Swede. De Wolf then found his way past Adamo. Langenfelder fell towards the end of the race. He eventually came home in 13th place. And then Conrad Muse, who'd sat in 3rd for much of the race, got caught napping with 4 laps to go as De Wolf moved into that 3rd place. Muse came home in 4th. Jago Geerts still pushing on towards the end of the race. 9th place for the Yamaha man. But it was a win for Tom Vial ahead of Mikkel Hart, De Wolf, Muse and Adamo. That's how it finished in race 1. And the riders down on the grid, getting ready for that second race. But before we go anywhere, though, let's take a trip down to the start line. Lisa caught up with Jago Geerts, championship leader, and before that, Mikkel Hart, who finished 2nd in race 1.
So we're almost ready for the penultimate race of the day, MX2 race 2, but let's speak to one of the main protagonists from that first race. It's Mikkel Hart. Mikkel, clearly riding with a lot of confidence after your podium in Argentina. You took the whole shot, leading the way. Okay, you couldn't stay in the lead, but you believed you could win that race.
Yeah, I mean, I got a great start, like you said, and was leading for a couple laps, which was nice, but yeah, the nerves kicked in a little bit and had to fall back behind Tom. And after that, I started gaining some confidence again, just getting back into the rhythm. And towards the end of the race, I could start pushing a little bit more. I felt like I did have more in me, and that's why I started pushing for the lead as well. But yeah, I just ran out of time. But I felt like I did really good, but I feel still like I have some more in me.
Yeah.
So for the next race, I'll just try and go out and keep calm and continue pushing and then see where we end up.
Well, we had you on the studio show, and you said the ultimate aim this year is to get the podiums, but the form that you're in now, and you just said that you felt like you had even more in you after that first race. Is it realistic to say the GP victory is in sight?
I mean, of course we ride to win, that's no doubt about it, but there's a few steps before that, and I mean, there's a lot of work to put in to be in that position, so I don't take it for granted. You know, we're just going to do everything we can, and when it's time to win, yeah, we're going to win. But yeah, I mean, podium would be nice, a win would be even greater, but yeah, we do whatever we can, and we just see where we end up. Yeah.
Best of luck, Mikkel. Thank you. Okay, so I have to speak to Monster Energy Yamaha MX2 rider Jago Geerts. Jago, firstly, we saw you have quite a nasty crash in that first race. Are you okay after that?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just my hand came off the handlebar when I landed, and then the pretty big crash. But yeah, after that, my riding was still pretty good, and I felt not so bad on the track. So I'm fine, and I'm ready for the second heat.
I mean, you had a lot of traffic to get through. I mean, you're 22, you came up to 9th. How much energy did you use up, and how tough is this second race going to be now?
Yeah, the track is not that like physically demanding, so I'm still feeling pretty fresh after the first heat. So yeah, I'm ready to fight for hopefully for the win in the second heat.
Okay, well, glad you're doing okay. Thank you, Jago. Good luck to all the guys. It's time for MX2 Race 2.
Let's take a look at the calendar, shall we? We're 3 rounds down. This is round 4 in Portugal. We go to the MXGP of Trentino in a week's time before we take a 1-week break. Then we have Latvia, and then Italy in Majora. And then over on the right-hand side, final round in Oman, but finishing the season off on the 25th of September, Monster Energy FIM Motocross Nations at Redbud in the United States of America, which brings me to the guy right next to me, Jason Thomas from the USA, from Fly Racing. First of all, it'll be cool to go back to Redbud at the end of the year. Looking forward to that?
I am. 2018 event was unbelievable. Hopefully the weather will cooperate a little bit more, but everyone I've talked to, both in Europe and in the USA, is planning on going, so I think it's going to be an all-timer.
And obviously, as we look at the start list for MX2 Race 2, Jago Geerts on pole for the 3rd time this year. Guadagnini with his best of the season so far in 2nd. Likewise for Horgmo, De Wolf coming home in 4th. This is how they line up for Race 2, the same as they did for Race 1. What did you make of that first MX2 race?
Yeah, pretty unexpected after what we saw on Saturday. Literally nothing transferred. I think it's really important for Geerts to bounce back here. He needs to show Vial that he's still, you know, the alpha in this series right now, and if nothing else, just salvage for the points.
Well, Tom Vial was victorious in race 1. He led from lap 4 to 19, but he was put under pressure from Mikkel Horup the whole way through the race. What do you think of Mikkel Horup's performance?
Really impressive. You know, he kind of showed us that he had this in him in Argentina, and he's following it up here, which I think is really important. And every time he does that, every time he puts pressure on the lead, he's gaining confidence. And I thought his interview there with Lisa was telling. He's not in a hurry. He's just kind of letting the progression happen.
Mattia Guadagnini coming home in 12th. Another up and down ride for him. He was 23rd on the first lap. Got himself up to 11th midway through, and then obviously just losing a position or two late on. But Mikkel Horup, Big Van World, MTX Kawasaki, stunning performance from him, coming home 5th in the qualifying race, so he goes to line 5th, but 2nd in the MX2 race 1. Tom Vial, despite his wobbles yesterday, where he had 2 prangs in qualifying, pulled it out of the bag in race 1, came away with the 25 points, and the gap between 1st and 2nd in the championship was 26 at the start of the day. It's now 13 between Geerts and Vial.
Yeah, Vial's ride wasn't dominant, but he did enough, you know, and all you really need to do is get the win. It doesn't matter if you win by 10 seconds or 1 second, the 25 points still carries.
Looks like riders are all in position down there. We've got a green flag back of the gate on the right-hand side, or left as we look down at. Green flag down here. The race director from the FIM signalling time for the Fly Racing 15-second board to go up for the final time today for MX2. Race 2 coming up, 30 minutes plus 2 laps. Who will it be that grabs that all-important foxhole shot? It was Mikkel Horup in race 1 for the first time this year and in an MX2 career. Gate drops. Slow reaction from Geerts over on the right-hand side, but he manages almost to get alongside Kevin Horgmo. That's exactly how it came through in the qualifying race yesterday, Horgmo, but he got hit by the Yamaha man around about this stage in the qualifier yesterday. But good start for Gifting in 2nd position. Geerts 3rd, Horup 4th. Vial in about 7th place, going around the outside of Adamo. I think that was at the bottom of the hill. In fact, he's at the inside of Adamo now, and again finds his way past Geerts just like he did in race 1, exactly the same corner as he moves into 4th and 3rd as he barges past Mikkel Horup. Talk about urgency from Tom Vial.
Yeah, the track's a little bit drier this time than we saw in race 1, which is helping. You can see these guys actually being able to push a little bit, but you don't want to make a mistake. It is watered. You see how slippery it can be. But nice moves from Vial. He got around Geerts, gets around Horup, and really trying to, I think, get to the front quickly.
Tom Vial in 3rd position. He's got Geerts right there behind him. There's a massive sense of urgency here from Vial, and I just wonder if he's going to fall victim to pushing too hard too soon with conditions that could be a little bit mixed. Hard and slick in some places. Got Jago Geerts alongside him as they go through the wave section. He will be mindful of that. He queues up behind the 517 of Isaac Gifting, who is holding that 2nd position, bottom of the hill, but how much longer? Well, Gifting does hang on. This is where Jago Geerts fell in race 1, just completely got it wrong as he came into double into that right-hander. But Kevin Horgmo, F&H Kawasaki, leading the way.
See some yellow flags here in the background. Somebody's gone down.
These two, first and second in the championship, third and fourth in the race at the end of this opening lap. Tom Vial, Jago Geerts, Kevin Horgmo confirmed as the Fox Hole Shot winner.
See if
for the first time this year as well, by the way.
Yeah, if you see if Horgmo can make good on this. He rode incredibly well yesterday, and then he went down early in race 1, which kind of ruined his chances there. But he has looked really strong all weekend. He's been fastest in every time qualifying and pre-practice.
And he was fastest in the warm-up as well this morning. Unlucky to go down a couple of times in the race. Jeremy Sido is the one that's gone missing over on the far side of the circuit. So the Diga Pro Cross KTM rider will pick himself up, hopefully. He's over the line. Yeah, he's through. So Gifting under pressure. And Tom Vial will try to charge down the inside here. He can corner that thing like it's on rails. He's alongside. Oh, they bang bars almost as they come into land. Gifting putting the squeeze on the Frenchman. I was about to say, Vial needs to get past Gifting pretty quickly, because if he hangs around there too long, that's going to allow Jago Geerts to close back in and challenge those two for that third and maybe even second position. But Geerts getting left behind at the moment.
Yeah, and I was going to say, for good or for bad, I think he's going to press the envelope here. I think it's the right move. He kind of has Geerts on the ropes, and he really needs to get, if he can put himself in between Gifting and Geerts, that'll help a lot.
Gets good drive through the waves, but not as good or as efficient as Gifting over on the far side. So the Hitachi KTM rider, fueled by Milwaukee, hanging on to that second position, closes the door down this time, doesn't leave it open, but the back end comes around. That may all be that Vial needs, and he does. He goes through, capitalizes on that mistake, takes over second place from the Swede. Gifting trying to respond immediately, though. Going to have to go the long way around here in the final turn unless he can cut back, but Vial's going to close down the door. And look at that already. Jago Geerts back onto Gifting. So had that pass not happened, who knows? We could have had three riders bunched together with Vial just ahead of Geerts.
Yeah, and Geerts is going to want to try to make the same move really quickly. He's not going to want to let Vial get away. But I'm really impressed by Horgmo here. He's, taken the opportunity here. He's put in some really good early laps, and he's kind of riding by himself. No pressure, can choose any line he wants, and he's probably not even nervous at the moment.
And he's also put in the fastest lap on his own as well. 2 seconds clear of Vial when he hit the line. And problems there with the tear-off for Gifting. Just getting caught under the handlebar there. He had to just kind of play around with it just a little bit as he headed uphill. Geerts closing in, though.
And you can bet everybody wearing orange here is hoping that Gifting can hold Geerts off for a while.
But Geerts goes down the inside. He's going to try and nip to the inside again in that turn, but can't. He's got a good line through there, though. It's lower on the left-hand side over that single as they head uphill. But he's got to be careful that he's not caught napping now and just following the line of the rider ahead of him, because look how Tom Vial is already starting to pull clear of these two.
Really the same theme all weekend. It's been incredibly difficult to pass. This outside has worked a few times, though. We've seen it both in MX2 and MXGP.
Jago Geerts finds his way past Isaac Gifting, moves into third place and goes back after Vial, who just sits ahead of him in second. Easy move in the end for the Belgian.
Yeah, and I think, we really saw these guys be ultra patient in race 1, and I think they understand now that the track's a little bit better. Now you can push a little bit more.
From Jago Geerts' point of view, he needs to finish ahead of Vial just to try and claw back as many points in the championship as possible. Remember, it was 26 points coming into race 1. That gap has been halved after Vial was victorious, and Jago Geerts came home in 9th place. But Kevin Horgmo continues to lead the way on the F&H Kawasaki. Here's Adamo under pressure from Kai de Wolf. These two in 6th place. Geerts with the fastest lap of the race, 1:52.2, half a second quicker than Vial, and a couple tenths quicker than Horgmo, who put his fastest lap of the race in. Then we've got Gifting, Harp, Adamo, de Wolf, Beniston, Guadagnini, and Langenfelder. They are your top 10.
Nice response from Geerts there, and that's really what you want to see when Vial made that move. Could Geerts respond and go with him, or was he going to get left behind?
Another good start for Andrea Adamo. The Italian coming home 5th in race 1 on the number 80 machine for SM Action Racing Team USA battery. Gas. 6th currently in race 2. It's going to be 5th overall, 6th overall for the Italian. Bottom of the hill, Har up there going after Gifting. So the Swede and the Dane coming towards us now. These two fighting over 4th place. Harrop will be buoyed by what he did in race 1, closing down on Vial, the eventual race winner, put him under pressure pretty much the entire race from lap 4. So he will believe that he can find his way past Gifting and maybe even go back after the likes of Geerts, Vial and Horgmo. Either way, he's looking at a podium for the 2nd time in successive rounds. "23 minutes plus 2 to go. Gifting dropping downhill. Hitachi KTM fueled by Milwaukee. Right behind him though in white now, Mikkel Harrop, Big Van World MTX Kawasaki. And Gifting. Harrop saw that as well. He was able to land and react, so he didn't get on the gas as early as he wanted to, but it was still a close call for Isaac Gifting there.
Yeah, that section's caught people out all day long. You saw Geerts on the first lap actually went around that entire section, just avoiding it completely.
Look how heavy the final turn is now. They ripped that and watered it during the break between races. And everybody pretty much going to the inside where it's just real rich and loamy dirt now. Asking a lot of the power of the bikes, you know, when they get on the gas.
Yeah, I think they would prefer that though. At least it's predictable. You don't have that step out, when it's really hard, and then they add water to it. So these modern 4-strokes have so much torque and power now.
A good response from Tom Vial, the fastest lap of the race, a 1:59.19, a 52.0, his fastest lap for Jago Geerts as he tries to go after the Frenchman. That is 1st, 2nd, and 3rd right there, separated by less than 3 seconds. Horgmo doing a fantastic job. He's led every single one of the 4 laps so far. We're on lap 5. And the F&H Kawasaki rider, you know what? He'll be kicking himself after what happened in race 1 where he came home in 8th. But he is on the podium at the moment, 2nd overall. Same points as Harrop on 38 points apiece. Then we've got De Wolf and Geerts on 32. De Wolf on 34. Hasn't had a podium in MX2 so far. Kevin Horgmo. And he's also got the advantage of having a clear track. No dirt on the goggles. The others have been pulling tear-offs left, right and centre because of the watered conditions. Not saying that they're going to run out, but someone like Geerts, for instance, towards the end of the race was giving it the old thumb wipe.
And it's just much more comfortable, right? He has no dirt anywhere, not on his gloves, not on his goggles. It's clean. And he really hasn't had to deal with, any traffic or had to ride defensive yet at all, but I think that's going to change pretty quickly.
5 laps in the books. Another fastest personal best lap for Horgmo, 52.3, 52.1. But Gifting, fastest lap of the race, a 51.7. Bringing Harrop with him, a 51.8. So those two, the fastest riders on track in 4th and 5th. Good responses from Gifting and Harrop, probably being pushed on by Harrop here.
Yeah, and you wonder if, when Gifting got past, if he picked up on some of the lines that Geerts was using and maybe that brought some more pace to it. A lot of times you don't realize where you're losing time until someone goes by you.
Gifting does not want to give up a position to Mikkel Harrop. Bottom of the hill, Isaac Gifting. What collarbone injury?
It's impressive. You know he has to be in pain, right? And once the adrenaline takes over, it probably isn't too bad, but as soon as he stops, it's going to be throbbing.
Harrop bouncing, coming up short and then missing the landing zone, pushing himself wide through that corner, just costing him a couple of tenths here or there. All of a sudden, Vial also bouncing and almost going straight on. Very lucky to keep it on 2 wheels there, the Frenchman.
If there was any doubt about whether these guys are pushing or not.
Look at that, landed heavily in a braking bump. Lucky not to go off track as well. He lives to fight another lap. And so too does Kevin Horgmo at the head of the field. We're on lap 6. Jago Geerts' front just looked like it folded on him there as he got on the gas.
It's just been that kind of season for Vial. A little untidy everywhere. It's not typical for him going back historically, but this year it's just been more mistakes, and I don't know if it's the pace that's caught him out or what it is. It just looks like he's more mistake prone this year than ever before.
And it is a brand new bike they're running. Obviously this is going to be the base model for a 23 production bike, but when you have a new bike, we alluded to it yesterday, you have data but not with the new chassis, so they're coming in cold and trying to feel their way for this new bike, this new chassis with this racetrack, as they were in Argentina, as they were Lombardia, and also Matterley Basin. So, you know, Tom Vial is obviously riding very, very well, but they don't have the same information that they would have had on a bike that was 3 years old, let's say.
Yeah, and he just, you know, it's not just in the riding. The starts haven't been as picture perfect as they were in years past. So it seems like they're learning as we go here, and we'll have to watch as the season progresses if they sort that out.
Soaks up that bump there at the bottom of the hill just nicely, closes back in on the 24, just starting to gap Jago Geerts there in third position, who's having to work overtime just to make up any time at all to these two, and when he does and then he makes a mistake, it just costs him all over again. But looking for different lines, coming out of that turn earlier, the Belgian, and he's knocking on the door again, so he is working hard back in, just swapping across to the inside there. And again, short, this time for Vial over on the opposite side of the jump. And Geerts right back in it. All of a sudden, second place is under scrutiny. This has been a good lap from Jago Geerts. What are the splits? 26-1, 3 tenths pulled back there. Same at sector 2. Pulls back another couple tenths in sector 3. And you can see him visibly closing to what he was at the start of the lap. First 3 are not 2.1 seconds apart anymore.
Really haven't seen any signs of cracking here from Horgmo. You know, you might want a little bit more pace from him. He's dropping into those 153s. He gets a 152 there. But I haven't seen any signs that he looks uncomfortable at the front. Yeah, he's just doing his own thing. First
3 riders separated by less than 1.5 seconds. They hit the line at the end of lap 7. And Jago Geerts was the fastest at 51.9. The other 2 riders were in the 52s, a 0.6 and a 0.7 for Horgmo and Vial. Game on here with 17 minutes plus 2 laps to go. Fantastic ride this for Horgmo, like you said a moment ago. But how much more of this pressure can he stand from the 28 of Tom Vial as he continues to lead race 2 here in Portugal? Isaac Gifting 3 seconds adrift, then Harp about another second further back. They are 4th and 5th ahead of Adamo, De Wolf, Guadagnini, Beniston and Langenfelder. Good to see Fredriksson out there actually. He was limping off the track after a crash in race 1.
And if you're Horgmo here, surely you saw, you know, the crash that Vial had trying to pass Kai De Wolf, so you just want to frustrate him.
Try to pull the clutch in there and give it the big panic rev up the inside, but Horgmo wasn't having any of it, and he was quick here in race 1. He's going to do the same as he did to Adamo in race 1 here to Horgmo. He gets to the inside, closes down the door, stops Horgmo's attack coming back at him. Vial leads on lap 8.
See Vial move back to the right there to protect that inside.
Covered the line perfectly, middle to right, just to close down any attack from Horgmo. Now he has clear track ahead of him, but Horgmo, I think, is still going to put him under pressure here. That's what Geerts needs, just to have Vial rattled, if you like.
Yeah, and Horgmo's been using that outside and cutting back inside. If you're Geerts here, you need to make a move and make it quickly. Same thing he did when they were moving forward before. You just don't want to get stuck behind and let Vial pull any sort of lead.
Well, it's taken. Adamo off the side of the track in 6th position. That's going to cost him. Watch this here. Just before pit lane. Back end came around on him.
Got off pretty lucky there. See Geerts really up in the intensity.
Well, it took Tom Vial 8 laps to find his way past Kevin Horgmo. Vial will be hoping it takes Geerts just as long to do the same. Impressive ride this from the Norwegian, number 24, Kevin Horgmo, FNH Kawasaki. He's going to be dumped off the podium as well because Vial picking up those 3 crucial points at the moment as he leads the race. So we're going to have Vial 50 points, Hara 40 on a 2nd and a 4th at the moment. Then De Wolf will be on the box in 3rd, and then Horgmo a point behind. See riders just bouncing now on that triple, and then coming up short in the braking bumps as well. Isaac Gifting has also made a mistake. He's in 11th place. Did we see that? Did we miss that before? So it must have been a biggie because he lost about 20 seconds. So anyway, here is Horgmo under attack from Geerts, who doubles in. He gets perfect drive here. They're going to be side by side. They've got to be careful down there. Fortunately, Horgmo read it well, backed out and allowed Geerts to jump past him safely down the hill. Geerts now into second. Brave move, though.
Yeah, and it's, you know, these guys, I think, you know, they are really putting in splurges of effort when they need to. And Geerts was very aware there that Vial was going to try to make a break for it and gap. And he had to go with him. You can't wait. You can't fall into Horgmo's pace. You've got to stay on your own pace and go with Vial.
A lap ago, Vial was 1.8 clear of Jago Geerts. It's now 1.6 as the Belgian moves into second place. Kevin Horgmo will try to keep both these guys honest if he can. Again, wiping. He's out of tear-offs once again. So all that time spent behind riders. Made the move at the top of the hill, but he's without tear-offs now, Jago Geerts, so his race is just going to get even more tougher as he tries to latch onto the rear wheel of Vial to make a move.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what he does here, because the last thing he'll want to do is sit on Vial's rear wheel without any tear-offs. So he's either going to have to sit back, be patient, and wait and make one run and try to get by him, or wait for Vial to make a mistake.
Yeah. At the moment, it looks like he's getting ready just to latch onto the rear wheel and just go for broke, you know, and if he has to wipe the goggles, then so be it, fine, but he's not going to go down without a fight, is he, number 93?
Yeah, and I think if he gets up to the rear wheel and he can't make a move, you're going to have to see him drop back a little bit. There's only so much, you know, dirt you can take to the face if you don't have any tear-offs left, so I'm sure right now he's running on pure adrenaline and just wants to get to his rear wheel, but he gets roosted a few times and that'll change.
If this was in the qualifying race yesterday, it wouldn't be so much of a problem because the track was a lot drier. Today, it's being ripped and watered before practice this morning, before the first race, before race 2. So there's quite a lot of wet sand in there, and that is going to play havoc with that visibility, especially when you've got gloves where your hands are sweating. They're already wet. Then you've got to wipe the wet dirt from, and you just get a massive smear across the front of the goggle. Kai de Wolf has, well, what a lap this has been from number 93, Jago Geerts, looking to go around the outside of Vial. Vial will maybe know that he's there or not. He knows someone's there. He tries to cut across to close down the line. But Geerts is going to go around the outside. We've got a change for the lead. And Geerts leads on lap 10.
That was a great move. And you saw him swerving from one side of the track to the other, trying to stay out of that roost. One, he's trying to not follow to make a path, and also he's trying to stay out of the roost, as you said.
So big move, big pass that from the Monster Energy Yamaha rider. Gets alongside him here. Vial just too hesitant in that that penultimate corner. Geerts committed to the outside, found the inside line before the finish line, and the Belgian through into the lead.
Well, it's funny, Vial has been going outside every lap, and he only switched to defend there. And that inside slower, he wasn't comfortable with it, and you saw how much time he lost.
So a great response after sending himself down the track in race 1. He leads race 2. It was half a second as he hit the line, but all of a sudden Geerts is getting his head down and just focusing on those 25 points.
Well, he puts in a 151.9 compared to Vial's 154, so
it's going to get him on the podium as well, look.
Really, really important lap or two here for Vial to try to respond. He's got to get his lap time down back into the 152s and stay with Geerts, or this is going to be over really quickly.
He'll lose 10 points in the championship chase today. So the gap will be down to 16 points as we head into the Italian round at Trentino, Pietro Marata, in a week's time.
Geerts goes purple in sector 2, so you know what his plan is. He's trying to check out right now when he senses weakness.
26.7 compared to a 27.2, but then look at the response from Vial, another 0.3 quicker in the third sector. We're in sector 4 now, back towards the finish line. Still impressed with Kevin Horgmo.
Vial made a mistake there, so I expect to see a pretty slow sector 4.
Interesting board signal there from Geerts' crew. Focus, make, gap. They know he's run out of goggles as well. That could also be problematic when he hits back markers later on in the race.
Yeah, 1.2 quicker in sector 4 there.
That gap, 2.6 seconds now. Well, he's making the gap with the fastest lap of the race as well, a 51.046.
Yeah, a couple more laps like this and this will be over. You know, all of the charge that Vial has goes away. Geerts' confidence goes through the roof.
Mikkel Harp will finish second overall. Haven't seen too much of him in fourth position in this race, but he was on it in race one, second place, putting himself in a good position for back-to-back podiums. Argentina, third overall, second overall here. But just coming into view in a moment, just behind the 24. There he is in the background. So just chipping away, he could still be on for a third place finish here in this second race. It'll be a good day for the number 11. Eight and a half minutes plus 2 laps to go in this for second MX2 race. Jago Geerts, your new leader, a lap ago, 2.6 seconds clear of Vial. Horgmo third, FNH Kawasaki, but the Big Van World MTX Kawasaki here, number 11, Mikkel Harp. Another rider like Harp, maybe it's just the Kawasaki's loving this place as well, because it's no coincidence, is it? FNH and Big Van World, the two green machines, looking very comfortable here in terms of positions where we're maybe not used to seeing them when we're normally flooded with, you know, other bikes and other riders, let's say.
And it's been strong all weekend. Good start, bad start, you know, free practice, qualifying practice. They've been really, really good. So somebody's doing something right over there.
Just looking at the results, a fifth place finish in race one, Argentina. Kevin Horgmo's best race finish so far in MX2. He's currently sitting there in third position, so going to eclipse that by a good couple of positions, and he's closing back in on Tom Vial, it seems. He probably knows he's got to get a bit of a hurry on as well, because if he does relax in that third position, Harp will be there ready to pounce, so can't afford to hang around. That gap is definitely coming down, isn't it, between the Dane and the Norwegian. Harp 52.1, 53.07 for Horgmo, and he's getting closer visibly now. So too, Horgmo closing in on Tom Vial. But going back to Jago Geerts, he found his way onto the rear wheel, passed. It was important to then gap Tom Vial immediately. That's exactly what Jago Geerts has done now, to the tune of about 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, and you just need to break the spirit, right? You want to make sure that Vial is not thinking race win anymore, and he goes into more of a conservation mode versus still thinking he has a chance. And Geerts did it. I mean, his last 5 laps have been his best of the race by far.
6.5 minutes plus 2 to go. How much pressure can Tom Vial withstand? He had to withstand a lot from Harp in race one. He's now got his hands full of Kevin Horgmo in race two, with just 6 plus 2 to go. Harp is not far away either, closing in. So the two Kawasaki's ganging up on the KTM man.
You just wonder if Vial's a little bit deflated by what Geerts did to him the last few laps. He just doesn't look like he has the fire that he had 10 minutes ago.
A mistake there at the bottom of the hill from Vial as well. Just came in, overcooked it. That's going to cost him another half a second and put himself under more pressure. Right, 51.5, the gap between Geerts and Vial now 5.3 seconds. Take a look at his race so far, shall we? Over on the right-hand side, this was how Jago Geerts' race started. Kevin Horgmo got the drop on him going through the first turn. He held a nice tight line, though. He was alongside, and in around about 5th place, he got around. Isaac Gifting here to move into 3rd. And then he found his way bravely past Kevin Horgmo. Fortunately, the Norwegian yielded at the top of the hill there. And then this pass on Vial for the lead on lap 10. We are now on lap 14. Still not a lot in it between second and third. Tom Vial and Kevin Horgmo. Who are you most impressed with so far this weekend out of these MX2 riders? Horgmo or Harp?
Yeah, Horgmo.
Or Jago Geerts, for instance?
Yeah, I would say Horgmo. Mostly because it was so unexpected. You look over the breadth of the weekend, every time he's been on the track, he's been one of the fastest riders, and he's making good on it right now.
Oh, almost off the back of the bike there, though. Just chucked it into that right-hander. Thing got away from him. But it's not cost him too much time, but what it has done is allowed Harp just to get right back onto the rear wheel of him for the first time this race, and seriously think about challenging for that 3rd place, and maybe even later on 2nd, with the same rider that he was challenging for the win in race 1, Tom Vial. Good response from this from Vial though at the moment, just holding steady in that second position, and these two tripping each other up is going to play perfectly into his hands as well. Not a lot in it between the F&H Kawasaki and the Big Van World Kawasaki of Harrop. So Geerts now 6 seconds clear of Vial. Horgmo, Harrop lead Kawasaki. Of course, Mikkel Harrop on that team last year, as around the outside, Guadagnini nips past De Wolf and into 5th place. Strange weekend for Guadagnini. Strange season for him at the moment, Jason.
Well, he had such a great start in race 1, throws it away while he's in the lead, and we all looked at him as a championship contender coming into the season after a great 2021 season. It just has not come to fruition. Now, a lot of racing left, continues to get good starts, good things will happen, but it just hasn't been the beginning of 2022 we expected.
So 3 minutes to go. Tom Vial, this is where he fell yesterday, and struggling through there as well. But there's obviously a bit of a lip and then a big hole the other side of that, catching a few riders out, just like on the opposite side of the track, the step up into the corner where riders are landing, dragging that dirt, getting off the brake, and then creating that extra hole.
Yeah, and you're starting to see some of the shadows develop in these ruts where you can't really see exactly the bump you're hitting. So a lot of it's guessing and trusting at the moment.
Wish you were here, folks. Dropping downhill. Vial over on the left-hand side, back marker to the inside. Rider in blue behind him, Kevin Horgmo, not letting the Frenchman off the hook. And Harrop also, well, that was untidy, dropping down there. He's all over the back of Horgmo. He would love to get into that 3rd place with Mikkel Harrop. He's running out of time though. 2 minutes plus 2 laps. Lap times here 1:52, 1:53 for the front runners. And 2 minutes on the clock. So we've got a 4-lap race from here on out. Harrop cuts to the inside. Tries to straighten up the turn. Look, stays out of those ruts. Taking the shorter route out of the turn and then the longer route round just to carry that momentum through that penultimate corner before the bitchy jump. There's Vial, top of the hill. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th, absolutely locked together. A couple seconds apart. You see it dropping down the hill over the FC Moto. Still a high-speed racetrack, isn't it? Even though we've got those ruts and those braking bumps, Jason, these guys are right on the limit in terms of speed and what the bike's capabilities are with the racetrack, the bumps and the ruts.
Well, in a lot of open corners, you don't see a lot of defined lines, so that means they can carry a ton of speed like through a big open berm like that. So it is a lot faster than I would have thought, but it's starting to slow down. You're seeing them have to pick their way through some of these corners. Really nice line there, cutting back across by Horgmo.
I was going to say, this is going to come down to fitness here. We know Vial obviously can win races at will. He's been a world champion in the past. But between these two, I'm just going to wonder who is the first to blink here within, like, we're entering the final 3 laps now. Who has it just to hang on and just to put it all on the line between Harrop and Horgmo?
Well, and Vial's had to watch Geerts just ride away from him, right? And that can do your head in. It can really mess with your confidence. And you don't want to start thinking about the riders behind you, but I'm sure he's wondering, how did Geerts do this? He dropped into the 151s and then kind of just checked out on these guys.
There is the gap. He's top right corner of your screen. Then on the tabletop in the middle, you've got Vial now. And then the gap behind him, the 2 Kawasaki's of Horgmo and Harrop. Still nothing in it between those two.
Nice lap there from Vial, pulled the gap back out, went back into the 152s. And that's what he needed to do to take some pressure off himself. The last thing he wants to do is have a last lap battle with Horgmo.
And yeah, 3 laps to go. A 53.9, 52.6 for Geerts and Vial respectively. Barring any mistakes, this is Geerts' race win, isn't it? Has to be.
Yeah, he's earned it. He put in an incredible few laps there when it counted most, and since then it's kind of been easy.
So also just looking at the sector times, you know what, this might not be over because Jago Geerts 6.1 at the start of this lap, 27.6, 26.4, the splits between Geerts and Vial, sector 1, 27.0, but then he pulls back another 9/10 in sector 2, so he's all right.
Yeah, and I think he's just kind of cruising, right? Well, there are some really tricky sections of the track where he's probably trying to de-risk a little bit.
And back markers as well. 2 of them he's just cleared as he drops into that right-hander top corner of his screen.
Yeah, and I can't imagine Vial is really has his heart set on winning this race. You know, that kind of was over a few laps ago.
Well, whatever way you look at it, he's managed to claw back 10 points in the championship chase this weekend, and that's going to be a good day. He's going to win the GP, narrow the gap. He'll go from here happy.
Yeah. There's, you know, it was, if you came in and asked him on Friday, hey, you're going to gain 10 points on Geerts and win the GP, will you take it no matter what? Of course he's going to take it. So I don't think he'll be really thrilled with the way race 2 went, but big picture, this was a really successful GP.
Just getting caught behind a back marker here. Indecisive move to follow and then think about going around the outside. 2 laps to go. We're on the penultimate lap. The Monster Energy Yamaha. Jago Geerts a 1:54.2. 5.6 now, the gap between first and second. So the gap is coming down, but you have to say he's got to be in control, Jago Geerts. Good recovery as well from that first race crash. Yeah, and that was not a nice crash.
No, that could have been a lot worse. So kind of similar situation for Geerts after race 1. If you were going to tell him that you're going to win race 2 and have a great ride, would you take it? Of course you will. So everyone's trying to leave here, finding the silver lining and taking the positives.
But also, just goes to show, doesn't it, the mental state that Jago Geerts is coming into this 2022 season.
He looks like a much more mature rider, and I don't know if he's changed anything in the offseason or if it's just the natural progression of coming with age, but he looks different to me. He looks like, you know, in a situation like this where he needed to take control of race 2, he did, and he, you know, was able to ride away from Tom Vial, which in years past he wasn't able to do that.
Yeah, the right-hander just behind him, where he jumped into the corner before the Liqui Moly jump. It was the other riders we've seen that hitting that where Vial crashed yesterday, jumping, landing, and then almost rolling into the corner. He's doubling his way around the turn like we saw, I think, Geiser in MXGP race 1. So little things like that are the difference in this one, I think.
Well, and going back to 2019, 2020 from Geerts, there were flashes of brilliance, but he wasn't able to bring that week in and week out, and that's what's starting to show up. It doesn't matter if it's sand, hard pack, South America, Europe, he has the same form, and this looks like world champion form.
Tom Vial has done well to put a gap between himself and Horgmo, and likewise the Norwegian managing that situation in 3rd place. Guadagnini just set the fastest first sector that time around in the race. He is in 5th place, but a long way down off of Harrop, so it's just nice to have a purple flash next to your name this late on in the race. But where was it earlier on in the race? That's the problem. Final lap. Geerts 5.2 seconds clear of Tom Vial. Monster Energy Yamaha rider leading the Red Bull KTM with Kevin Horgmo on the F&H Kawasaki in 3rd place. But Tom Vial on course for taking the Grand Prix victory here in Portugal. A 1st and a 2nd will be the points that he takes, providing he stays where he is. And for Tom Vial, it'll be his 16th Grand Prix victory and his 34th podium. Bottom left of your screen, that's your race leader, Jago Geerts. Look how he's just doubling through there. Let's see what Vial does through here. Is he doubling the same as well? Look, there's the difference right there. And Horgmo doing the same, just dropping in, whereas that generation of speed around the outside is a telltale.
Yeah, and we saw some of the MXGP riders start to use that, and that's where you can pick up little lines that are forming. That line may not have been there all day yesterday or this morning, but it formed late in the day, and if you are perceptive enough to use that, you can gain half a second in one corner.
So Tom Vial, it's been I won't say it's been a difficult race, but obviously he had his eyes set on going 1-1 here today, but Jago Geerts had different ideas. But winning race 1 and coming home 2nd in race 2 compared to the 9th and 1st of Jago Geerts is going to be the defining factor of this Grand Prix, and Tom Vial is going to be standing on the top step of the podium here in Portugal. But you cannot take anything away from Jago Geerts. Bottom of his screen, final couple of corners. Geerts, the Monster Energy Yamaha rider, is rounding out the final turn now, and he will win race 2. It'll be good enough for 3rd overall. Tough day at the office for the Monster Energy Yamaha rider, but Tom Vialle will stand on the top step of the podium, a first and a second. He knows that. He's also reduced that gap by 10 points as well this weekend in the process. Process that now, Jason Thomas.
Well, I think Vialle will be, it'll be bittersweet. He'll be a little frustrated with race 2, but again, GP winner. So Geerts also frustrated with race 1, but comes back to win race 2. So depending on your perspective, everyone's going to try to take the best out of the day, and they probably would have very different opinions overall on how this weekend went, but that's part of it. You have to keep your confidence up, and going into Trentino next week, both of them are going to think that this championship is theirs for the taking.
A 24th career race win for Jago Geerts, but he's going to have to settle for 3rd overall this weekend in this MX2 Grand Prix of Portugal. Of course, we'll talk to our Grand Prix winner, Tom Vialle, in just a few moments' time, but Geerts wins the race. Vialle 2nd, Horgmo 3rd, Harap, Guadagnini, De Wolf, Adamo, Beniston, Langenfelder, and Hakan Fredriksson bouncing back into 10th place. Isaac Gifting finishing in 11th. Jan Panzer crosses the line now in 12th place, and then we should have Stefan Rubini, Conrad Muse, and Tom Guillon rounding out the top 15. And as I say that, Rubini rounds out the final turn in that 13th place. I'll give you the whole rundown in just a few moments' time, but that's what this racetrack looks like here in Portugal, that red clay dirt. But here is Tom Vialle, the Grand Prix winner here in Portugal. He's with Lisa.
Tom Vialle, congratulations. P1, P2 to get your 2nd consecutive overall victory, but something that didn't come easy for you this weekend.
Yeah, you know, I had a difficult Saturday. I was really far on the start. So I'm happy to win the GP because it was tough. You know, I didn't expect this yesterday night. I had 2 okay start, and then I was leading both motos, second moto. I was a little bit a mix, but Jago was riding also good, so he passed me, and then I tried to follow, but he was pretty fast. So no, I just saved the 2nd place for the 2nd moto, and 2nd GP win is always nice.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Red Bull KTM's factory racing, Tom Vialle may not have won race 2, but he wins the Grand Prix. A winner in race 1, 2nd in race 2. Closes down the gap in the championship by 10 points as well with his performance here today. But for Tom Vialle, on the top step of the podium now for the 16th time in his career. Give you the rundown then. Classification as we have it, MX2 race 2. A win for Jago Geerts. Tom Vialle coming home 2nd. Kevin Horgmo, Mikkel Hart, Mattia Guadagnini rounding out the top 5. Then we had Kai de Wolf and Andrea Adamo. Thibaut Beniston, good solid ride for him on his first race back from injury this weekend. Simon Langenfelder, Hakan Fredriksson ran out the top 10 ahead of Isaac Gifting, Jan Panzer, Stefan Rubini, Conrad Muse, Tom Guillon and Peter Pollock, with Jacob Terasak, Leopold Ambjornsen, Philippe Olsen and Sam Nielsen getting in the points again. Tom Vialle wins the overall. Back-to-back wins for the KTM man, having won in Argentina at round 3. Hara goes 3rd in Argentina, 2nd overall here in Portugal. It's getting better for the Kawasaki rider. Geerts rounds out the podium in 3rd. Then we've got, just missing the podium, Kai de Wolf and Kevin Horgmo. 2nd time he's 5th overall this year for the F&H Kawasaki rider. Championship, Jago Geerts still leads, but Tom Vialle gains 10 points on the Belgian here today. Hara moves up to 3rd in the championship. What a day it's been for the Big Van World Kawasaki rider. Langenfelder and Adamo round out the top 5. All set for the podium in a moment, but Yamaha lead the way in the Manufacturers' Championship. But look at KTM closing in all of a sudden. 2 points separate the Japanese and the Austrian brands. Take a look at the foxhole shot, though, before we go anywhere, shall we? Kevin Horgmo with his first black plate in 2022. I think it's his first ever black plate as well. So good job, Kevin Horgmo. Shame he didn't get the podium this weekend as well, because he deserved it. If one rider deserved it, Jason Thomas, it was Kevin Horgmo.
Yeah, I mean, what a strong weekend. Quick, I mean, he showed so much pace, and then he finally made good on it in race 2, so that's got to feel good going into Trentino.
Podium time then here, round 4, the FIA Motocross World Championship, the MXGP of Portugal at Águeda. Third overall, Jago Geerts. Big crash in race 1, left him in 9th position, but he bounces back with a race win to make sure he gets on the podium and reduced the points deficit in terms of what he could have lost, if you like. Mikkel Hart, Big Van World, MTX Kawasaki, back-to-back podiums for him. Third in Argentina, second overall here with a second and a fourth. Fantastic day for the Dane. But back-to-back wins now in 2022. The first rider to do that this year, actually, Tom Vial. The Red Bull KTM rider will enjoy being on the top step of the podium here today with that first and second place finish. Trophies being handed out then. Third place for Jago Geerts, Pedro Arroyo from Polisport, Portuguese plastics brand, of course. Delivered by the Polisport president, no less. Jago Geerts, Monster Energy Yamaha, third overall here today in Portugal. Fernando Souza, the IS3 president, handing the second place trophy and the second trophy of the year to Mikkel Hart. Big Van World, MTX Kawasaki. Big smile on the Dane's face as well. Edson Santos, Deputy Mayor of Águeda, thanks for inviting us back again to your wonderful part of the world, sir. Tom Vial, Red Bull KTM Factory Racing, on the top step of the podium for the 16th win of his career. And Jorge Silva, clerk of the course, will deliver the team trophy to Red Bull KTM. And the team manager, Joel Smets, 5-time world champion, no less. And 104 podiums as a racer, 57 of those as a Grand Prix winner. Antonio Alia Portela, the FIM CMS director, hands the red plate to Jago Geerts. He continues to lead the championship as we head to round 5. That's all the formalities. French national anthem for Tom Vial. Wins the Portuguese Grand Prix, round 4 of the FIA Motocross World Championship in the MX2 class on the Red Bull KTM. Mikkel Hart, Big Van World, MTX Kawasaki, comes home in second position, his best ever finish in MX2. And championship leader Jago Geerts rounds out the podium, third overall for Monster Energy Yamaha. We'll talk to the top 3 in a moment, but before we do, let's check out the highlights from race 2. The gate dropped and it was Kevin Horgmo with the foxhole shot. Over on the far right-hand side, number 24. Around the outside was Isaac Gifting, as he tried to slot up the inside of Jago Geerts, and he did move into second position. Mikkel Hart was right there as well in third. Vial snuck up the inside of Adamo and Geerts to move into fourth place on that opening lap. Then Gifting had a moment that allowed Vial to move into third position. Jago Geerts also found his way past the Swede. And then, change for the lead. Tom Vial with that pass on Kevin Horgmo. Mikkel Hart found his way past Adamo, who then fell from 6th position As the race wore on, Jago Geerts found himself into second with a move on Horgmo and then around the outside of Vial on lap 10. And from there, the Belgian was in cruise control, putting in fastest lap after fastest lap. Guadagnini eased past Kai de Wolf to move into fifth, but it was Jago Geerts who won the race. A big race win for him, but it was Tom Vial who was victorious. He was a winner in race 1, second in race 2. It was good enough for the overall.
Tom Vial, congratulations. Race 1 you won, you lost the lead in race 2. You put yourself under a little bit of pressure, but you definitely turned the whole weekend around after an unlucky qualifying session.
Yeah, I'm happy to win the GP. You know, I didn't expect that after a difficult Saturday. Crash on the qualification, I was 13 on the gate, and here in Ageda is pretty far. So I had 2 okay starts. I came back. First moto I won, and second moto I was leading the race. Jago was pushing. I think I didn't have such some good lane on some part of the track, and he was a little bit faster than me. So he passed me, and then I wanted to win the GP. So I saved a little bit the second moto. I didn't push too hard. So now I'm really happy to win another second GP in the season. Still early in the season, we catch good points for the championship. So no, thanks to the team and everybody around me. Thank you.
Great job, thanks Tom. Second overall today we have Mikael Harup. Mikael, congratulations, you've been strong all weekend, good starts, riding with confidence, you've been putting pressure on the riders in front of you. You've got your second consecutive podium, you must be very pleased.
Yeah, I mean, I made another great weekend, good starts, and just fought throughout the whole motos, so I'm very happy with my performance. I mean, the track wasn't easy, especially today, so it was tricky to make the passes, but I managed to do what I had to do to get on the podium, which feels so great.
Good job, thanks Mikael.
Thank you.
Third overall, we have Jago Geerts. Jago, very tough first race for you with a lot of work to do. Race 2, you just got your head down. Nice move on Vial for the lead, and you just were focusing on those points, and you still got the red plate.
Yeah, I'm really happy about my riding today. I'm not so happy about the mistake in the first heat, but yeah, these things can happen, and managed to finish 9th still, so did a little bit of damage control, and then second heat I felt really good on the track, and yeah, I'm just really happy about my riding, and hopefully I can limit these mistakes a little bit for the next rounds.
Okay, thanks, Jago.
Jago Geerts arrived here as the championship leader. He remains the championship leader in MX2, but the gap has been reduced by 10 points. But what a salvage operation in race 2. 9th in race 1, picking himself up off the deck, where he finished 9th after that horrible crash. To win race 2, to take the 25 points, a real solid performance for the Monster Energy Yamaha rider. Likewise, Mikael Harup, Big Van World, MTX Kawasaki, back-to-back podiums, 3rd in Argentina, 2nd overall here, a round later in Portugal. Things are looking good for the number 11, who moves up to 3rd in the championship chase as well. But Tom Vial, number 28, Red Bull KTM Factory Racing, did all the hard work in race 1 with that victory. Followed it up with a 2nd in race 2. Maybe not what he wanted, but the bigger picture is reduced the gap by 10 points, and he's come away with a Grand Prix victory. The first rider to win back-to-back wins in 2022. Tom Vial, your winner here in Portugal. We'll be back in about a minute's time. We'll see you for MXGP Race 2.